Well, welcome to our weekly discussion, Moral Side of the News. I'm Shawn Kaelin with the WHAS Crusade for Children. Joining us today, as always, a distinguished panel. Reverend Clay Calloway, West Louisville Ministers Coalition. Rabbi Emerita Gaylia R. Rooks, The Temple. Reverend Harriett Akins-Banman, New Albany Centenary United Methodist Church. And Father Tony Smith, Archdiocese of Louisville. And St. Patrick.
St. Patrick.
My home parish. Friday, March 1st, is a day Sidney Thomas will never forget. Sidney is the driver of the truck that was hanging over the side of the 2nd Street Bridge. This week, our Doug Prophet sat down with her in her first interview since the events of that day.
This is a big moment for you.
Mm-hmm. This is the closest I've been to it, but...
Since March 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Healing and coming to grips with a true miracle. 26-year-old Sidney Thomas told me that just looking at the 2nd Street Bridge again is a major part of how she's moving forward.
Now I'm starting to, heal.
Because she knows why she is still here today.
Sometimes you pray, and I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I pray and I don't think God is listening. But he was that day.
Is that the first time you've seen it since the accident?
This close, yeah. I don't know. I just, it is kind of hard to look at, but I'm not there. I'm here.
It was Friday, March 1st at noon. She says she was behind schedule.
It happened. And it happened so fast. He crossed over into the northbound lane, and then he hit me, and once he hit me, he took my suspension out, which meant that I can't, it didn't matter which way I turned the wheel. The truck was gonna go whatever direction it wanted to go in. I felt myself veering off to the left, and then I saw myself going over the railing, and I was like, well, this is it.
You knew you were going over the railing?
I did. Well, not immediately after the impact, but I say like 2 seconds later.
The next few moments would become the event viewed live by people around the world.
When I went through the railing, I was like, I was just thinking like, wow, this is crazy to die like this, and I really thought that I was about to die. And I was like, well, I can try to hurry up and take the seatbelt off and jump out of the truck if I have enough time to.
You were thinking this?
When I felt myself going over, I'm like, I'm gonna have to jump. I had my foot on the brake too, and I sat like that for a long time.
40 minutes?
Yep.
She waited for her rescuers.
I was like, I can't believe this, that I'm really hanging over the river. And I was in shock. I was like, this is crazy.
Suddenly, Louisville firefighter Bryce Carden appeared, suspended in the air next to her window.
He was like, are you a praying woman? And I was like, yep. And we just started praying.
And their prayers together?
I got what I prayed for, and somebody came and got me out of the truck. We were praying, just to get back on the ground and out of harm's way.
Just an amazing story, and thanks to Doug for letting us air that. It aired, we taped this Thursday at 1, we're airing this Thursday at 6. You can check out the whole story, which is about 9 minutes long, on our website, whs11.com. But your thoughts, and crazy.
It's incredible. It's all over national news. It was one of the lead stories in the national news this morning on all of the major networks nationally, because the tape of the actual event finally was released to the public. So it was just the thrill, the near brush with death. All of that is just engaging, and once you see it, you can't turn away from it. Of course, the good news that she was rescued, of course, is the dominant story there. But we all attracted to the thrills and chills. I remember growing up at the Fountain Ferry Park. The most popular ride at the park was always the roller coaster. I don't care where you go, if it's the fair or wherever you go. The natural human attraction is to the thrill rides. But this was a thrill ride on steroids. that was she was literally suspended between life and death. But the good news is that she was able to be rescued, and that's good to know.
I remember the day it happened, and then I learned, I think this morning, that she didn't know how to swim. So she was afraid to take off her seatbelt anyway, and then she decided, well, I'll have a better chance of surviving in the Ohio than I do crashing down with this truck. But she couldn't get the seatbelt off, and it's just, I was on Moral Side of the News that week, and pointed out that in Judaism, there's a prayer called the Gomel. Birkat HaGomel is the blessing for having narrowly escaped a life-threatening, really traumatic, dangerous experience. And that not a lot of American Jews know about that unless they're really Orthodox. Actually, I set that text to music and put it on my CD, and that's the CD that all the prophets go to Crusade for Children. So there you go. I should bring more of the CDs here to Crusade. But anyway, it thanks God, who nurtures us with loving kindness and who has shown us such great kindness and mercy in having so narrowly escaped what really for her was a life-threatening experience. And I have done the Gomel prayer for many people, but never anyone I literally never met. But I just, like every day for like a week, it was just incredible.
I think another element of what I see as a faith connection in this story is the story you sent us to read, and that was the person on the bridge who talked to her the whole time. Mm-hmm. And what a gift to have that voice of the stranger offering hospitality and hope and
faith.
And faith. And here I am for you, and you're not alone, and they're on their way. And that was very moving, that we might be drawn to the thrill rides, and we certainly have the thrill rides for which we don't sign up for, but within that, there's community that surrounds us.
That was the first thing he said to her, "Are you a praying woman?" And she said, "I am, I'm praying." And they prayed together. And I just feel like that must have given her such confidence and some support that she wasn't alone and that God was right there in the shape of this heroic firefighter.
My contribution to the discussion of this issue, I echo what you all said. I certainly agree with that. But the timing is what gets me. Maybe a moral lesson in this. As she said, just a matter of seconds, and she was over it. Whereas the rescue took much more time. It seems like in my life, when I talk to people about moral issues that they have experienced, whatever, quite often, it rarely is the momentary where we do the good stuff, but it's we get involved in stuff we shouldn't be involved in, and it's just boom.
Right.
Human nature, whatever it is. And then it takes us time to sit back and reflect upon that and to correct the wrong done with good. So I think not only just the heroics of what happened here, and thanks God that she was safe and whatever, but a moral lesson I would take from this would be that we should take this in our own mind and heart and think about the times when we have done something, I use the term stupid, that has caused problems to ourselves or others, and how long we've had to go back and recuperate from that as a moral lesson.
Very good.
And not that she did anything wrong, because
No,
another
right,
truck hit
right,
her,
exactly.
a pickup or something.
It was a pickup truck.
Hit her,
Right.
and
And that's on the video they
yeah,
show now.
she's
from
just
the cab.
minding her own business.
And even the truck that hit her was reacting to a car that had stopped that he was trying to avoid, as I understand it. So another car had stopped on the road with an electric battery, for whatever that means. He had just stopped
Oh,
on the
right.
road, so he had tried to avoid. He may have hit that vehicle also, but it was the car that stopped that created the chain of events that took place.
And that's a good lesson too, that there's always ripples, side effects of what you do,
Correct.
intentionally or unintentionally, but certainly we have the capacity to intentionally do what's right, and any kindness that you do is a gift. And, you know, it echoes on and on and on.
Right.
The other piece for me is the symbol of the bridge. And that it will always be there. And now there is a story attached to it that affects the community on both sides of the river. I took 2nd Street Bridge today to come over, and I just find myself, one, more cautious coming over, but when I get to that area, it's thinking about her and just all that she went through, and the preciousness of life. You know, how do we hold that?
You mentioned the bridge. I mean, Louisville has kind of become a city of bridges. We recently had 2 bridges in the last few years built here in the city of Louisville. It's become the city of bridges. Of course, the nation is a nation of bridges and walls. So, and in recent weeks, it appears that bridges have come into the news because of the bridges that was destroyed in Baltimore, another bridge down in the Galveston area just this week. And we become aware how vital these bridges are to the overall life of the areas. And bridges are links that connect us so we can move and do what we do. And sometimes we take them for granted when they're not operating the way we hope they would be. You know, let the 2nd Street Bridge close down for 2 weeks, and we really just rearranged, and our lives are rearranged. So it makes us aware of just how vital bridges are to our lives in many ways, just symbolically. But I think that this bridge has really become a great metaphor for a lot of life lessons that we could take note of.
That's, if this country needs anything right now, because it's so divided, bridges between communities, between people, between politics, and I mean, you know, we all sink or swim together, and people need to recognize that, you know, every human being is a child of God and carries the spark of the divine within them, and the way we treat one person is, you know,
It reverberates to others.
right, but also, you know, you should love your neighbor as yourself, it says in the Hebrew Bible.
Right.
So if you love your neighbor as yourself, if you are really caring, you know, it would make such a difference. I mean, in terms of hunger and homelessness and just the divisiveness in our nation right now. If we could build bridges and tear down the walls.
And that takes courage, just like she exhibited, and the firefighter who came to her rescue exhibited, and those who were on the side offering words of encouragement. They could have moved along.
Yeah, and the firefighter didn't say, well, what religion are you? What race are you? What, you know, you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you, you know, it doesn't matter. You're a child of God, and here I am.
And it just echoes that we at the Crusade, we really champion our firefighters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the firefighters are team one as far as we're concerned.
That's
so,
right.
So it just demonstrated just how amazing firefighters are to day-to-day lives. Of course, the cause of the Crusade, and this is just yet another example of how they are the superheroes of our city, and we're the first to acknowledge that. So we thank God for the spotlight being on the first responders.
And to bring it full circle, the firefighter, his child benefited from the crusade.
Right, I remember reading that. I love that.
I mean, it's
hard to find a family in anywhere in Kentucky or southern Indiana that either personally has not been impacted by Crusade for Children, or a friend, a coworker, a neighbor. Well, because it's been, what, 71 years now.
Yeah.
Coming up June 1st and 2nd, 2 weeks away.
Before my time, just for the record.
Unfortunately, not mine.
Just one tick away from mine. I was celebrate our birthdays around the same time.
Well, I would encourage you to check out, if you enjoyed that short clip, that this full story is 9 minutes long. That was about 3 minutes, and she does reference some other comments about a voice above her that was calming her before the firefighter arrived. It's a great story. So that story plus this next story, all eyes are on Louisville again this week. The PGA Championship returns to Valhalla, an economic impact that could reach $80 million with over 200,000 visitors. This show is airing on the finale of the Sunday, the final round, and coming off Derby, now the PGA, the Crusade in 2 weeks. It's a good time to be a Louisvillian.
The spotlight, like I'm in the studio, these big bright lights, it looks like the bright lights are shining on Louisville. With Derby, we've got, the Valhalla, we got this back in the news with Louisville in the spotlight. So PGA with Valhalla, I remember when they first opened, and then years later when we had the PGA, when Tiger Woods first appeared here, I was blessed to be able to witness his participation. And quite a thrill to be there to see him. In fact, a group was positioned many distances away, but when you saw this throng of people coming over the hill, you knew that Tiger Woods was coming. That throng followed him over the hill. It was just a big thrill just to see that throng coming over the hill. And then, of course, the Valhalla has brought a lot of notoriety to the city. I remember also, as a sidebar, you mentioned the economy that's received a boost because of Valhalla. I remember that the Reverend Lewis Holman, the late Lewis Coleman, had protested in concert with the Urban League, advocating for minority participation in the vendors out at Valhalla. And I think some good came from that, so that the economic benefit could be spread around as far as possible as a result of that, the entity at Valhalla. But it's good to get the notoriety, the attention. I'm sure the economy certainly can, will be benefited from this. I didn't know it was that big, 200,000 people. That's almost like the Derby, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're all on Shelbyville Road.
You think so?
Speaking of someone who lives off Shelbyville Road. So, but with that being said, though, I concur. It's good for the city. If it comes anywhere near the $80 million, maybe they can give some to the Crusade. No, but if it's anywhere near $80 million, that $80 million, depending on what they do with it, could do great things for the Louisville area. So. I don't play golf, by the way.
Yeah.
I live close to the golf course in Shawnee area. But I'm not a golfer. I mean, I've come to appreciate golf. It's not as easy as it looks.
Oh, it's not
I've gone enough to know it's not as easy as it looks.
Well, one of the parishioners said to me one time, "You must be living in priest paradise." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "You're retired and living near Valhalla Golf Course." I said, "It would be if I played golf, but I don't play golf." So.
I'm a terrible golfer, but my daughters both play, and they love it. And they.
Oh, my whole family does, except for me. So.
And to speak of the Crusade, I believe when 2014, when Rory McIlroy won, we have a staff member, Joe Federley. He reached out to Rory, got him to sign a flag, donated it to the Crusade, and I don't know how much it raised. It was 10 years ago, but it did come full circle for the Crusade.
That should be a good segue for, is that the next story that you had?
No, the next story is JCPS, but we.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I know what you're shooting for.
But if you'd rather go to the next story,
Well,
we
maybe
can
just
do that.
mention it, because I think it's great.
Sure,
And
well,
I think
let's
once
move
we
on to it right
start
now.
on JCPS, we'll never get off.
So, okay, well, let's do that then. Rebecca, we're going to go up to the Oaks winning pants donated to the Down Syndrome of Louisville, and just a great story come out of the Oaks win in the Derby last week. Go ahead and roll that package on the Oaks pants.
You have a chance to own part of Kentucky Oaks 150 history. This story is fascinating, and I really like it. Down Syndrome of Louisville is raffling off the pants worn by winning jockey Brian Hernandez, featuring its logo. Hernandez actually reached out to that organization first about wearing the logo after attending its Gallop Gala back in April.
That he felt inspired and he really wanted to do something for our members. They brought such joy to him that evening. And so he called and said that he would like to be able to put our logo on his pants that he was wearing in the Oaks. And of course, we thought it was really exciting, but it's a historic Oaks and Derby anyway. And just would get us some notoriety. Had no idea what the weekend would bring.
Awesome to see so many different ways how you can help organizations, right? Hernandez, who won the Oaks race on Torpedo Anna and then the Derby on Mystic Dan, will also autograph the pants. Proceeds from the raffle will help support the mission of Down Syndrome of Louisville.
We raise over $1 million every year to make sure we can serve our families from birth till end of life and just keep all of our programs going. We're in a huge state of growth. We've had about 176 babies born over the past 5 years.
Raffle tickets are $50 each and can be bought online. The winner will be announced June 3rd.
So Down Syndrome of Louisville, an agency close to the hearts of the crusade. Boogie Down dancers come on and perform on Crusade weekend for us, and they receive grants from us. Great story.
Yeah, I thought it was rather, it strikes me being a little odd, though, his pants. You know, what about the whole uniform? It would be great. That would be, they could do a mannequin type thing. But
The silks probably go, I don't know, do they go to the Derby Museum?
Right.
Or, who knows?
Well, that could be.
But
We're
that has been a
happy with
thing
the
lately
pants.
where they
We're
sponsor the
We're happy.
We'll
pants.
It was
take the
very
pants, right?
generous.
We'll take the pants.
and-
I first, when I saw him donating the pants, it made me think of a movie with Bob Hope and Lucille Ball called Fancy Pants. You may Google it later. I liked it. It was a nice, cool. I was a big Bob Hope fan. So, but the name of the movie was Fancy Pants, and it made me think about those fancy pants that were being used to benefit a greater cause. We've heard the term smarty pants. At least he was smart enough to think that it could be used for some greater good than being hung in a closet somewhere. So glad that it indeed was used and thought to be of great benefit for the cause of the Crusades. So
Very thoughtful of him, yes.
And it just shows what a difference we can make. And I love that he did it beforehand, so it had the logo on it. Even if he hadn't won, you know, it gave publicity to the Down Syndrome of Louisville, which of course, you know, every community in the world has, any large city or something has Down Syndrome organizations, and it's just one of those feel-good stories that really touched my heart.
And it also shows we can be creative. Just think out of the box sometimes. You know, be creative for ways you can help the cause of the crusade. You know, like the young drummer boy at Christmas time. The drummer boy said, "Silver and gold have I none, but at least I can pump up a pum." So he may not have donated money, but he can donate his pants. So it encourages imagination and creativity for contributions that could help the crusade.
And I love, sorry, I was just going to say, I love that they're raffling them instead of auctioning them.
It also shows, oh shucks, I lost my train of thought. I'm sure it was profound.
I could tell it's very profound.
His forward thinking. He's got a lot on his mind, right? Riding big horses and winning races, but he's thinking outside of himself and that which he's going to be endeavoring to do. And I'm really moved that he would consider a community need and fill that gap with his pants.
Very profound.
Now I've had people take a shirt. One time a guy literally took his shirt off his back and gave it to me. It was a gesture that really meant
It
the
wouldn't
most.
be Joe Green, was it?
No, it wasn't that. But just that gesture alone. Of course, the Bible has references similar to that, taking clothes off and giving it. So just the gesture alone spoke volumes about the spirit and the intent behind the gift.
Very good. We have about 5 minutes left. Not sure we have time to tackle the Jefferson County Public
Yeah, why
Schools new
not?
start
Yeah.
times, but
Not sure 5
maybe we'll
hours
hold
would be
it for
enough.
next week. Let's move on to the Boy Scouts. So last week they made a big decision and changed the name. Beginning next year they will be called Scouting America. And they feel that's an important change, that they want all youth to feel welcome into the program.
Have they dissolved the Girl Scout? We don't have Girl Scout?
No.
So you don't have Girl Scout cookies anymore?
No, you
You still do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
The
the Girl Scouts are still
had
around.
nothing to do with this decision. I'm not sure they're totally happy with
So
this
this
decision.
had nothing to do with blending the genders.
Well,
Yes and no.
I mean, dissolving
Somewhat.
one gender and blending them
no,
into a common.
no.
That
no,
was not the
there's still
motivation.
Girl Scouts, and I think it's important for girls to be able to be together in girl space. But the first thing that struck me, so we have a Boy Scout troop, a really large one at the temple. Some kind of record of how old it is or how many Eagle Scouts, whatever. And we had issues with the Boy Scouts. They weren't allowed to have gay troop leaders. They weren't, if you were a young man, you know, a kid or a teenager in the Scouts and they found out you were gay, a lot of troops got rid of them. And, you know, we, temple members, leadership, sat down with our troop leadership and said, you know, this is not going to fly at our congregation. And they're like, our troop is totally open and you can be gay, you can, and we had women in our troop. I don't know how that quite happened, But so I just feel like, wow, Louisville, Kentucky, in the front, the front of these, what I consider to be righteous causes of equality and things like that. We have some girls who have gotten Eagle Scout, reached their Eagle Scout.
You mentioned Louisville has always been progressive in that regard. I mean, I was formerly a chairman of the Human Relations Commission here in Louisville, and the not racial, but as with gender rights was always a part of the agenda of rights that were protected in Louisville, Kentucky.
Great.
And that made Louisville, Kentucky a bit progressive compared to other cities around the country. It was just a handful that had that kind of ordinances in place, and Louisville being one that protected those kind of rights for gay persons in the city. So Louisville has always been kind of a strange, regressive and progressive city at the same time. In that regard, they've been progressive.
No one wants to say anything else about the Scouts.
No,
Well,
more about the Scouts.
I just think it's
Well, Scouts was the girl's
pastime.
name. Remember the movie To Kill a Mockingbird? The girl's name,
was Scout.
The Scout.
Right, right.
which was a bit unusual for a girl, but that was her name in the To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. Hey.
But yes, the Girl Scouts are around, the Boy Scouts are around, and I think it's, to your point, there's even Eagle Scouts and, that are girls now as well. So.
It'll be interesting to see the triple effect that making Boy Scouts Scouting of America and this openness and inclusivity, and hoping that other groups will follow suit, and other organizations, including churches. So, yeah, good news.
Your boss is an Eagle Scout, right?
Is he? I'm not sure he was.
God?
Not
Oh,
Father Jeff.
you're talking
No,
about Jeff. Okay.
she's a Girl Scout.
Oh, right.
She's a Girl Scout, actually.
Touche. Well, is everybody looking
Very
forward to
good.
Crusade?
Yes.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
Very
Memorial
good.
Day
First weekend in June,
Right.
June 1st and 2nd. You might see us all sporting our Crusade pins today. Crusade is just 13 days away. You can buy your Crusade for Children Collector's pin at any and the Chick-fil-A gift card that comes with it for only $3 at any Republic Bank, L&N Federal Credit Union, First Harrison Bank, or New Yale Cleaners.
And this is the 71st
71st.
year.
First year.
We'll be here before you know it. You'll see the firefighters out collecting. Please be respectful of them on the street corners.
And do what Louisville and all of Kentucky and now all the way southern
And
Indiana,
southern
all the
Indiana.
way up to
Indianapolis.
Unbelievable. And such a generous community. So, I mean, it's just really, it's amazing.
It really is.
I heard that this is the largest independent telethon in the country.
It's the most successful,
Most successful.
in
Well, the most successful.
local telethon
I
in
assume
the
we
country.
count it
If
all
you
by
want-
the dollars we bring in,
And it's
and we
been-
have to hit 6 million this year, people. Because when we were doing the grant hearings, I told them, oh, we'll hit 6.
No pressure. Let's go. Thank you very much for watching this week. You can always check us out on YouTube. Have a great week.